Putin is a very strong leader who truly believes in Russia first, Soviet Union first, really feels like they should be the dominant country in the world, and is fine with corruption, is fine with breaking eggs on the way to an omelet, as long as it's done for the right reasons. So he allowed every oligarch who made his money, no matter how they made their money, to keep their money as long as they stuck to the plan. And so guys like Roman Abramovich are still very powerful and wealthy, and they're considered Putin's cash register. When he needs money, he asks them and they give him money. And that's the way it works. And as long as they maintain that and support him, they'll stay in power.
Holy shit, man. That is.
But I will say, I was terrified the whole time writing that book. I remember another meeting where I'm at with all these oligarchs, and there's all these security guards and like bodyguards around. And this guy comes up behind me, as in London, and he just sticks something in my back pocket. And I'm like, holy shit, because this is like where people were polonium poisoned. You know, you hear all the stories. And he goes, don't look, just don't look. I'm like, all right. So I get back to the hotel room, and I pull this thing out, and it's a computer key card. And I put it in my computer, and it has on it thousands of pages of legal documents from Russia with depositions of Putin's head of state, all going all the way back, telling the whole oligarch story. And I'm like, holy shit. So they wanted me to have all the information. And now I'm like, I got to fly back to the United States with this. I have no idea whether this is legal, whether I'm supposed to have this. So I made sure there was a lawyer waiting in the airport in Logan Air from Boston. And I flew back, and it ended up being the information that I ended up using to write my book. So crazy stories like that. I remember another time I'm walking down the street in New York City with this Russian strongman. This is the guy who has definitely hurt some people, but he's very nice. Like, I get along very well with him. I've been interviewing for weeks, and we're walking, and there's these NYU kids walking behind us, really loud, drunk NYU kids. It's a Saturday night, and he's getting more and more annoyed. And this is a burly, scary guy. And he turns to me, he's like, these people are very annoying. And I was like, oh, it's college kids. And he goes, should I do something? And I was like, what? And he's like, should I do something? I was like, no, don't do anything.
Should I whack them?
I know. And I was like, this guy is going to kill these guys. Like, literally, he's a scary guy. I mean, some of these people were terrifying. But it was a fascinating. So I would never write it again, I don't think, just because, you know, I have not been back to London. I have not been back to Europe since writing that book. In America, I feel, you know, it's very unlikely, you know, and in the end, by the way, the oligarchs liked my book. And I had word that Putin has actually read it and did like it.
Really?
Because in the story, Putin's not the bad guy. It's very different than Red Notice, which is another great book about, you know, Russian oligarchs, or some of the other books. In the scope of my book, Once Upon a Time in Russia, Putin is the good guy. Because even though he's vicious and murderous, he is doing it to chase the people who are anti, you know, his world. He chases the oligarchs out of Moscow, the ones who are corrupt. He changes the corruption so that it aids the people of Russia. Previous to Putin, the oligarchs were looting Russia. They were taking the resources, they were stealing the money, and then taking it to France with them, or England, or whatever. Once Putin came into power, every penny the oligarchs made went back into Russia. If you wanted to maintain your status as an oligarch, you needed to become Putin's cash register. And he used that money for the betterment of his country, as he saw it. So in a lot of ways, he was the cop who came in and scared all the bad guys away. You know, he's the ultimate mobster. But in the same way, you know, the Godfather takes care of his people. Putin really does believe he's taking care of his country. And so in the scope of Once Upon a Time in Russia, I don't think Putin is the bad guy.
Wow, man, that is fascinating. I have to say, that is, I couldn't imagine there wasn't many times where you weren't scared for your life.
Yeah, I definitely had some questions. You know, I'm not a risk taker. I'm not one of those journalists who's going to dive into like some scary jungle somewhere to write a story. I would never have written the story had I not sort of been tricked into hearing it and then realizing what a great story it was. And to be frank, it was a very hard story to promote in a weird way, because it did very well as a book, but the movie we just couldn't get made. We still might, and it's still a big movie possibility, but we were very close. Warner's, the studio, was about to make the movie, and then North Korea hacked Sony, if you remember the hack, where North Korea, and after that, the movie studio just backed away, too scared. And so, you know, one day it will get made, hopefully, but it wasn't the easiest story to promote or sell or anything like that. And I was afraid to go back to London afterwards until I knew I feel now very strongly that all of the oligarchs who are in the book liked it. But every now and then I read about one of them hanging, getting hung or falling out of a helicopter, and you're like, oh shit, I know that guy. So it's a little creepy. Yeah.
I know that guy. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, man. Well, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this.
Hey, it was
Your
really
stories
fun.
are so great.
Thank you. Let me know when it's going to be up. The paperback of Bitcoin Billionaires is out now, so anytime it can go up soon would be great. But whatever.
Okay, yeah. So tell people that are listening or watching where they can find your stuff, find your books, follow you on social media, etc.
Sure. So Bitcoin Billionaires is out in paperback, so you can find it pretty much everywhere. You come follow me on Twitter is probably the best. So it's just Ben Mezrich on Twitter, because I respond, and that's where people send me stories, and it's a great way to keep up with people. But the books are available everywhere, and The Social Network and 21 are both on Netflix, I think. So enjoy them. But thank you very much.
Awesome, man. Thanks again.